Cancer, I've done your reading so many times. I've tried, and it just doesn't seem to work. So, if you're here and you're seeing this right now, there could be something in it for you. Excuse me, I just sneezed so many times before I started this video. But I keep trying to make this video and something keeps coming up or something keeps getting in the way. I keep having like technical difficulties or something. Like, I don't know what's going on. Excuse me. I don't know what's going on. So, I'm going to start by telling you all about these channel messages, and then we're going to get into the cards because I already pulled them for you and was like, wow, I'm going to stop right here before I get any farther. A lot of Mayan and Aztec vibes coming through. Also something about tombs or mazes, but not in the way that you would have like the difficulty. In a sense of like a maze obviously is difficult. There's the essence of you could get lost, I wasn't seeing mazes or pyramids and tombs in that type of way. I was seeing it more so as something sacred buried deep underneath something, like underneath a surface or a foundation. Just giving very much of that like sacred energy of some kind. And also that something is almost like being protected from outside elements with the maze or whatever it is. It almost makes me feel as though something is very complex or very intricate, and it's almost like what I feel like is it's your brain's way of hiding something. Because they're showing me almost like how like they're showing me a bunch of different animals, like how a dog like buries a bone, right? Or how if you've ever seen those, there's like how they have these kind of like set up mazes or like traps or whatever where rats are like making their way through with their smell. It's like, it makes me feel like it's something buried so deep that it needs to be unearthed in a certain type of way. And I feel like it's your brain's way of burying it so that way it won't just become triggered and just like, boom, there it is. Because I feel like then it would be too much. And I feel like you guys are very specifically dealing with something very traumatic. I really do feel like that's the case here. For some of you, for not all of you, but for some of you. And again, this could be Cancer, rising, sun, moon, Venus, Jupiter. Venus is obviously going to do a little bit more with money or romance, but it still stands the same that I feel as though something very deep here could be unearthed, and I feel like we are almost trying to, there's this feeling of preventing that from happening. Like, that's what I keep feeling. It's like, to prevent this from happening, this is what we have to do. To prevent this from happening. I don't know what that means, but that's what I'm getting, okay? For others of you, it could just be a means of, like, there's something sacred within you that could be wanting to come out. Because I also have maybe related to a vacation that you took. So to me, that could say that maybe, and I can't remember the name of the place, but it's like, it starts with an M. It's like Machu Picchu or something like that. You'll know what I'm talking about. I don't want to butcher it because I'm sure I already am. You may have taken a vacation here, and that may have unearthed something in you. It may have awakened something in you. It may have been the beginning of kind of this feeling of like, wow, these really like spiritual or high vibrational energies. Because underneath here, I also do have high frequencies or higher frequencies. So I feel like you could be on like one end of the spectrum or the other, but I'm really feeling a lot of energy here about like, this is healing based. Like, this is really based off of healing. And then I also have nightingale or singing. So that could be really cathartic for you. Music could be very important for you right now. I feel like that's always the case though with any Cancer placement. But I feel like more so specifically lately, singing or expression in some type of way, like with your voice, maybe even just talking to people that like you care about, that you're friends with, right? Like using your voice to express yourself, I think is going to be particularly important. And then also I have Aquarius could be important here. You may have Aquarius somewhere else in your charts. And then I have withdrawing from the hustle and bustle. On top of that, I feel like the hustle and bustle or grind culture. I feel like you guys are wanting to come back to like the slow life, or wanting to come back to like whatever your roots are, to be enjoying the earth, to be more connected with nature, or to the moon, because you know, Cancer placements after all. I have canning food here, shocking, gardening, and then I also have eliminating processed foods, focus on root vegetables or earthy veg, and cabbage coming through really strong. So I feel like there is this need, and you may be having cravings for that too, to consume really earthy veggies. So like, I think potatoes or sweet potatoes, cabbage too, Brussels sprouts. Like again, I'm just getting like very earthly elements. And then I also have something about the sun in general, and also the Aztec sun or sun god was what I heard. I looked up the name. No way. There's no way, bestie, that I'm going to be pronouncing this. You'll have to look it up yourself. Okay? Love you so much, but I'm not gonna do that to myself and butcher it, because I will. And then I have revitalize. So something about the sun revitalizing you right now. But I really do feel like there's this intense energy of pulling away from hustle and grind culture, or like hustle and bustle, whatever, and moving back towards romanticizing like the slow life, or like the little things, or like the simplicities of life, and like that type of vibe. Okay, so, and of course, to back that up, we had a couple different things. Number one, we have wandering between realms here, which is giving me a very fallen angel vibe. It's a 52, so break it down to a 7. Sorry about the glare. So I just really feel like this is what I mean. Like, we're in between these two areas. Okay, I really am feeling like you're completely removing yourself and like extracting yourself from like the world around you, from what like the world around you consists of or is. I feel like there's this feeling of separating yourself from what the normal is, and it's a really nice break for you. You could really benefit from like a social media cleanse, or like something like that, where you're just pulling away from the typical whatever, the way that the world works, you know, and then just coming back towards the self, to nature, to working with the moon or whatever, being more in tune with just like the earth around you. And then on top of that, here we go, ego sublimation, vanishing mirror. And this is what I mean. I think a lot of you, there's this thing that is being unearthed within you. Some of you, it's a positive thing, and some of you, it's going to be more on the side of healing. I think that you are going through some sort of ego death, especially with this card right here, honestly. I really think that you could be going through an ego death of some kind, hence the coming back to self. And maybe you're coming back also to things that are slower, right? So meditation, or like breath work, or like whatever ritual or practices that maybe you've fallen off of, and you're starting to do that again, starting to incorporate it back into your life. And I feel like this is all to dissolve your ego. I feel like for some of you, this is incredibly important work that you're doing right now for yourself, to level up, to create a, to create a more like balanced self or sense of self. But ego, definitely the highlight here. So that might be why, like I said, it's like buried so deep. I almost feel like it's very intricate, whatever you guys are unearthing, or whatever is coming up to the surface, I feel like is really intricate. It's like all these little pieces kind of overlap, or like you have to ting this to be able to open that, or something like that. Like it's very complex, it's really intricate, and I feel like because it's all connected, like I said, it's almost like it feels very fragile. Like this leads to here, to here, to here, to here, to here. So it's not just gonna come out, or it's not easily extracted. It's not easily, so what do I look for here? How do I word this? It's not something that can easily be like dismantled. So if you are kind of working on the ego, I feel like it's about looking at this thing and breaking it down to smaller pieces, and looking at this thing and breaking it down to smaller pieces, and kind of doing that until you come down to the center and kind of realize like, okay, like what is the root cause of these beliefs that I have, or what is the root cause of this energy that I'm holding in my life? Maybe that has to do with self-worth, maybe that has to do with boundaries, maybe that has to do, it could be anything. But I feel like what you're doing is kind of dismantling this thing that was a massive piece of who you are, and breaking that down and being like, that doesn't work anymore. And for some of you, I feel like you're watching it continuously like fail or not work in front of you. And so you're like, how do I undo that? Like, how am I supposed to move on from here? How am I supposed to, like, where do I go? Hence, like, also the maze, right? Like having to work your way through this intricate like layer of tunnels or whatever. And then last but not least, you have clarity and organization, a tidy house. And this was giving me really like, again, those vibes of like coming back to self, coming back to simplicity, coming back to the things that are more aligned with nature and more of like the divine feminine here. So you guys might also be motivated to clean, and not in a sense of like, you know, when you go crazy, clean the house like type of vibe, not that, but like, let me clean up this to create more energetic space. Let me do this to create more energetic space. And I just really feel like what you're doing is cleaning for a purpose, not just cleaning, but like a deeper purpose. It's giving you some sort of calmness, or it's providing you with some sort of like relaxation that you really need to help you maybe like process or come to terms with something. Like it's being used as a way to clear things energetically and open up more space energetically for you. And again, coming back to the home, it's giving like homestead, you know what I mean? Anyways, so we have evolving technology. Upgrading your life may be necessary now as you have outgrown your old ways. As I said, I think that you guys are watching something not work. You're watching it in front of you unfold in a very unique way. It's not working, and you're like, how do I move on from here? You have to break this down, this big thing, into smaller pieces and smaller pieces and smaller pieces. And I feel like this has a lot to do with, especially my Cancer risings, with the things that motivate you, or the things that kind of give you life, to bring desire, bring passion to you. Like, I feel like we're kind of breaking that down a little bit here. For others of you, I think it's also looking at like your drive in a very different way and how it connects to like who you are at your core. You know, what drives you or what motivates you and why. Like really breaking down those things. Why is this the way that you are, kind of, you know? Which is, I mean, really hard work to do, hence why I think the ego sublimation card is here, because it's creating this moment where it's like you need to have an ego death to be able to move past whatever kind of barrier or obstacle that you're having right now. And Mars opposite Pluto is going to bring about these deep things within the psyche that we need to feel, things that are really huge, that are a part of our foundation. And when you take away the foundation, you don't really have much left, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like this is why this is a very complicated thing, because if you go too fast, it almost reminds me of Jenga. You pull out the wrong piece, everything collapses. And so I feel like there is a sense of almost a fragile ego, so to speak, here, that something needs to be addressed, okay? And then also Zen Pond in reverse, seek peace and mindfulness. I'm reading it upside down because I'm crazy. Seek peace and mindfulness in the simplicity of the present moment. And you have it in reverse. What you guys are seeking, very difficult. Hard to come by, tough energy, dense energy, and I think Spirit is like trying to force you to sit down, trying to force you to put peace at the front of what you're doing, to put emphasis or value on what makes you happy, what makes you feel whole, what makes you feel peaceful, what makes you, you know, follow your bliss, basically, because I feel like that's going to be the key factor in you being able to move over this like hump, so to speak. Hold on one second. You know what? Mars in Cancer is making me very, very chaotic because I forgot I had something on the stove. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. So anyways, now that we have all this out here, which is so funny because this card actually doesn't even come in the deck. It came as like a preview to a different deck, and I forgot it was in there. So it's funny that this one came out too. Zen Pond. Seek peace and mindfulness. This is all about, like I said, present moment. Being not distracted, literally not being distracted, putting your emphasis on like right now, what you're doing, feeling everything, being in the moment with everything, like thoroughly being in the present in the best way that you possibly can with these. And we're gonna get more cards, obviously. So stay tuned for that. What do I want to do here? I'm gonna get some tarot cards. I just feel like the energy is so heavy around you guys. I feel like it's so heavy and you have so much going on. And again, like it's like taking, it reminds me of Jenga. Taking these pieces apart a little bit and a little bit and a little bit. If you go too fast, if you pull the right one, if it's not a strategic move, like with a maze, right? Then you could cause maybe some negative side effects, or it could be just a lot more difficult than, you know, you want it to be. But what you're doing takes a lot of work, and it's very heavy, and it can be very tiresome too. So you guys could definitely be in the sense of like, I'm super exhausted lately. Again, especially with Mars and Cancer. If it's in your first house, that's pretty rough. Depending on what your rising sign is, obviously it could be different for all of you, but can you tell me a little bit more about this message, Spirit? Ooh. King of Wands, so you could be dealing with someone who has fire in their chart, or you could have fire in your chart, okay? Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius with that, but mostly Leo for the King of Wands, because that technically is the sign for that one. It's interesting because I do feel like the King of Wands is you guys here. Page of Swords in reverse too. I feel like it's almost like Mars being in your sign is not the ideal place. And I feel like it's like the fiery energy is still there, but I feel like it has like, it's like tamped down a little bit. And I think it's in a good way though. It feels like it's in a good way. Page of Swords in reverse too. You could have gotten some news about a delay in something, okay? And you may be not sure exactly where to put the frustration. And also keep in mind, I don't know who needs to hear this, but the channel messages and then the actual reading may not all go together. There could be pieces that you vibe with in one way and then you don't vibe with the cards or whatever. I feel like someone needs to hear that. It doesn't all have to be seamless. But you have Page of Swords reversed and you have Four of Cups reversed too. I feel like you've been forced to kind of do a 180 and look at things very different from the way that you used to look at them. And hence why I think I keep going back to this, the ego sublimation. That's why I keep going back to this. 13, bring it down to a 4 too, by the way. Something I think is happening all around you is what I'm feeling. It's not like this one thing that just like creates change, but it feels like it's change happening all around you, kind of like everywhere, almost like fully enveloping you in something, enveloping, excuse me. And I just feel like, yeah, it's almost like, I remember earlier I said something was fragile, and this is breaking in the card, right? Like the mirror is shattering, and I feel like the mirror shattering is super important. I feel like there have been things that have happened, things that have come up for you where it's forced you to stop in your tracks over and over and over again and go, okay, you know, I thought I had a grip on this. Clearly I don't. I'm going to have to adapt. I'm going to have to do X, Y, Z instead. And then you're like, okay, now I'm going to get started again. I'm going to start on this path. I'm going to keep it going. And then something else happens and you're like slowly losing it. Like truly is what I feel like. You're like, okay, it is what it is. I'm going to have to start again. And it's just like trying to almost like keep it in check. And I think that's why the fiery energy here makes me feel like we're like putting like a tamp on it. Like to be like, like it feels like it's just a very interesting set of circumstances. I'm also hearing Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events. So I feel like that probably sums up a lot of what you guys are feeling right now. A series of unfortunate events, and I think that it feels really heavy, and I do think it has a bigger purpose, but right now it feels like it's just, you're like distraught, like things are just tough out there. I'm so sorry. But it is to shatter the ego, and what I'm getting is that this is coming off in layers. Hence why things need to come kind of like a series of unfortunate events, you know, like it's coming off in layers. I do feel like Page of Swords in reverse here with the Four of Cups reverse, that there could have been a delay of some kind, delay in receiving something, a message of some sort, delay of receiving certain information. And I feel like you could have had some sort of emotional reaction here. I feel like you wanted to not care about something, but you did care. Because then you have Page of Wands. So I feel like, again, this feels very information focused. Because 2 pages, so one in reverse and then one right side up. Really does feel like a delay in something, and I feel like there's a part of you that didn't want it to be that way, didn't want this to be the way that it is, especially if it's information based. You may have been like, I really don't want that to be the case, but like I have a feeling that's what's gonna happen. That's like the vibe that I'm getting here. And I feel like Four of Cups reverse is like, so normally Four of Cups for me is like a disinterested or just being kind of like meh about a situation, and Spirit's trying to show you something else. But when it's like this, when it's in reverse for me, it almost feels like fiend disinterest, like I'm trying to be fine, and I feel like you're trying to hold it together through something, but you do have quite a lot of feelings about it. Page of Wands here too makes me feel like this is something that you would like to do or act on, something you have to say to someone about something. And I feel like you also have Knight of Cups in reverse at the bottom. I feel like you have some possibly big feelings about something that made you feel unworthy. Which has been the theme for the past like month or so. It keeps coming up for all my readings, worthiness. I feel like someone or something made you feel unworthy and kind of challenged that within you. Hence again, ego death, ego sublimation. Page of Wands tends to be an energy of, first of all, page, messages of some kind. Page of Wands specifically can be excited to learn something, because it's also a student energy of learning, understanding, or communication in some way. So it can be this energy of like wanting to learn something, but I don't really get this here. I feel like needing to say something about a situation, or maybe someone made you feel a certain type of way where like it feels a bit defensive, or it feels like, how do I word this? Like you want to talk to someone about their lack of love, or their lack of empathy, or their lack of understanding, because the cups over here, so the emotions, right? I feel like you're trying to learn or understand why something happened the way that it did, whether it involves another person or not. The vibe I'm getting here is that it does. And whether that's someone romantic, or it could just be maybe you have Cancer in your 7th house and this is just any of your connections or relationships, whether it's romantic, platonic, whatever. But I feel like the sense of you want to tell somebody like what you did wasn't cool, or what you did not make me feel any better about myself. And it's not even because I think someone is being necessarily malicious. That's not really the vibe that I'm getting here. I just think it's a matter of maybe vulnerability and being seen and being heard. Like, again, shattering this, right? These layers. Being seen and being heard at a time where you needed it and maybe you didn't get that. Because I'm feeling this sense of like, I want to say something about this instance. I want to say something about this perceived lack of love. Perceived, whether true or not, right? So this perceived lack of love. I feel like you have something to say about it. I don't know what exactly is going on with that, but I do feel like you have something to say about it. I feel like you don't even have the energy to say something, or you may just be lacking the energy to have a conversation or to like deal with something. Yeah, so 7 of Cups here, for starters, quite a bit. of energy with the Seven of Cups. Seven of Cups is a bit of confusion. It's an emotional overwhelm more than anything. And then you also have Seven of Pentacles. So yeah, I feel like there's this energy of maybe like again, apprehension. I don't really know if I want to do that. I don't know if I want to have this conversation. I don't know if I want to bring it up. I don't know if I want to XYZ. Like, I feel like there's the emotional factor of like, I really don't know what to do with everything that I'm feeling. Seven of Pentacles talking about you working really hard towards something or having already built something and feeling very mixed about what's going on. So you maybe if this is a relationship or some sort of romantic connection, you can be like, I worked up until this point, right? But now I don't know what to do with this. Like a wrench has been thrown into this and I don't really know how to proceed from here. I'm not quite sure how I'm supposed to proceed emotionally from here. And I think that it's because, again, these two things don't mix. Like, what I'm feeling is like this energy you weren't expecting. You put a lot of energy, work, just some sort of dedication here with the Seven of Pentacles, because Seven of Pentacles for me is always, is the juice worth the squeeze? You know, is this worth my time? Do I continue on this path? Let me take a look at what I've already had. Let me assess the situation. And I feel like you're doing that right now. And like I said, series of unfortunate events. It could be multiple different things, or it could be multiple different events that are happening all within a relationship, all within a friendship. You know, it could have a common theme, but it feels like you're very worn out, you're very burnt out, you're very tired. But all you do know here with the Sun in reverse is that you're not happy about it. You're not thriving. You don't love that, right? Tell me more about the Seven of Cups. It almost feels like you have so much going on in other areas of your life, and then this is like this added thing in the mix that makes it a bit more complicated. You're like, I don't even know if I have the energy to do this, because I have so many other things that are on my plate right now. I don't know if I have the space to be doing XYZ. So you have Three of Cups with the Ten of Swords reversed. So I feel like this could have to do with another person. Romantic or not is up to you. It definitely could have to do with another person, but because it's Three of Cups, I do feel like it's something that someone said to you very specifically. And I'm really getting this like kind of isolation vibe here too. Like maybe someone made you feel isolated or made you feel kind of alone, like, and that may not have been their intention, but they did. Three of Cups with the Ten of Swords reversed. I feel like it was just like, again, it's something perceived. I don't feel like it's necessarily real. I think it's something perceived, which is why the ego is coming in here a lot. A perceived hurt or perceived alienation, perceived ostracizing you from the group. It's perceived, it's not necessarily real, so please keep that in mind, especially where the ego is concerned. I feel like it's what someone said, or maybe something they didn't say. Like maybe you just like weren't invited to something, or maybe something wasn't explained to you and you're like, why would you not tell me that? Like, I'm a part of that, why would you not let me know? Or like, you said that you care about me, so why wouldn't you say XYZ? Like, why wouldn't you reassure me of blah, blah, blah? Like, it just feels like this, again, it's not malicious, but for some reason, someone's kind of like, I don't know what the word is I want to use. They're kind of like haphazardness to it, if you will, created more pain than was intended. I don't think the other person saw it as hurtful or saw it the way that you are. So make sure that if you want to keep this relationship or friendship or whatever, obviously that you are communicating clearly with them. But I think no matter who this person is in your life, I think there's a need for, like I said earlier, the tidy house, cleaning the house is like straddling both worlds. Like, I think there really is a need for you right now to be alone and to kind of remove yourself from, again, the hustle and bustle or like hustle and grind culture. And I think it's because you are dealing with these very heavy energies where you are truly like transforming yourself, okay? I think it's really important that you take the time that you need and that you try not to take too many things personally as much as you can. Mars opposing Pluto is going to bring up a lot of this energy of these, you know, painful experiences to the surface. That way we can use them to heal. And I think this series of unfortunate events, although unfortunate, is teaching you something bigger. And I think it's to help you break away some of that ego, because I think it has possibly created like a wall or some sort of block in the past, especially within your connections with others. Again, whether romantic, platonic, or otherwise. Okay? I love you guys so much, and I really hope this helped. I hope it resonated. Of course, if it did resonate, leave me a comment, let me know, like the video, and obviously subscribe if you want to keep seeing more videos like this, and hang out with me, of course. Love you. Bye.